Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity Podcast, episode 244. And if you're listening on the day of release, like many of you do, it is Friday, the 2nd of May. So we really are motoring towards summer in the UK anyway. And the day that we're recording, it is very, very sunny here in Essex. I've heard it is very, very sunny in Bath. And just heard from our guest who we've got on today that it's a lovely day in Bristol as well, which is close to Bath. So it's kind of that kind of southwest of England. Just touch base with Pete to begin with. He's looking very summery with his Salvatore Ambulando t-shirt. And it's the Brazilian colours, the yellow and green. And he's got a t-shirt tan as well. He's just showed us. Look at that. If you're watching,
check that out.
You can see that tan.
That's honestly 1 week of sunshine and that's me done. I'm done for the year. There's nothing I can do about it now. It catches me every year. I'm like, right, this year I'm gonna get an all over, not an all over tan. Nobody wants to imagine that. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna get a t-shirt tan this year, and then I'll just be out walking, get home, and I'm like, oh, it's there.
So all you need to do is next time wear like a vest or something, so you move the lines up, and then you
know when I mean, our guest has got like a vest on, but she's got her arms out and stuff. And there's people, there's guys I know who wear tank tops and stuff like that, and they look fine and great. But when I wear one, I think I look silly, and the very fact that I think I look silly means I walk around thinking I'm looking silly, so I don't do it. It's weird, isn't it? Because I probably don't, but
no, you wouldn't. No, you got a good set of arms on you now with all these presses and pull-ups and things you've been doing. So
maybe it's from years ago when I had puny little arms, and it's still in.
Funny, isn't it? The hang-ups we have.
Yeah, should we talk about that for an hour? Therapy session for an hour for Peter.
Okay, so we are joined today from Bristol, as I mentioned, by, now I'm not sure if I should call you Elise Laura Ball or just Elise Ball or just Elise.
Elise, yeah, Elise is fine.
Okay. On Facebook, it's Elise Laura Ball. But Elise is a Strongfirst Elite instructor. She's a kettlebell and strength coach, a ballet teacher. And I just kind of said, this is like last week when we had David Ameland on, I sort of said that the first time in 243 episodes, we're going live from Greece, weren't we, last week? And the first time in 244 episodes, we have got someone from, I think it's the first time anyway, like more of a dance background, ballet background. So really interested to talk to Elise today. And one of my members, Edith, said, "Oh, ask her if the movie Black Swan is realistic." So I don't know if you've watched Black Swan before or not.
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
Okay, you said ask you anything. So Black Swan, we watched that, and because we were talking about ballet and things. So I said that you were coming on. Excellent. So Elise, I mean, you're down in Bristol, beautiful part of the country. Beautiful day out there. You've already got a nice tan. And I remember you do lots of the swimming. Well, certainly I haven't seen as much recently, but you do the swimming in the outdoor sort of sea lake.
In our marine lake. Yeah, I shot. I didn't do it this year because of various reasons, which I'll go into later. So, but generally, the cold water swimming, I really enjoy. Yeah. Really gives you a good buzz. Yeah, and
also like paddle boarding and things like that down there. Yeah.
Have you ever been to the one? There's a lake at Blorange in Abergavenny, which is just up the road from you.
Yeah.
There's a lake up at the top of there where people go.
Yes, well. I went there with a friend of mine a couple of months ago. I didn't get in because I was post surgery at the time.
Yeah,
he did. It was freezing.
Yeah, it's pretty open up there, isn't it?
Windy, really windy. Yeah.
There we go. Right. So Elise, I suppose first of all, like I said a minute ago, we've been on a number of courses together and things. I know that you're going to be down at Unique Results in later this month. For I think the dumbbell workshop with Pavel Matchek and the SFB with Pavel Matchek as well. So we'll be with you for 3 days in person later this month. But maybe for the listeners and for us, do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about your background and your background in terms of physical exercise, physical culture, dance, activity, sport, that kind of thing, and kind of how you kind of moved in this direction, but really kind of the way that activity has kind of shaped your life, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got taken to a ballet class when I was 2.5 by my mother, who thought, well, I'll take her along, see what she thinks. So we were sitting and watching. And obviously I can't remember this, but I wanted to get down straight away and join in. And I sat there crying because I wasn't allowed to join in yet. So I started ballet, baby ballet, back as it was then, at 2.5 years old. I've been trained classically all of my life, and I was always encouraged to do the other dance genres. So you do your ballet, you do your tap, you do your modern, alongside everything when you're little, when you're growing up, between the age of about 1 to 10. And it got to the point when I was 10 years old, and our ballet teacher at the time was looking for people to audition for the Royal Ballet. And a couple of us went, we sent our photos off, they look at your photos, then they invite you for an audition. And I did my audition, it all went really well. And then the lady spoke to me afterwards and said, darling, you're just going to be too tall. Which I was, because back then you had the likes of Darcy Bustle, who was 5'8". I'm 5'10". So if you can imagine me with point shoes on, I would have to have a man to dance with. That was pretty huge. And she says, darling, you're going to be too big. You're going to be too big. We can't take you. So I kind of knew from a really young age that even though ballet was my one love, and it always will be, and I kept all of my training going, that I was going to need to branch off and do other things. When I was 16, I went to a theatre school in London, well, Epsom it was, just outside London. And I stayed there for 3 years and got my diploma. It is a degree nowadays. And then started dancing professionally when I was 19. And that movement from the classical ballet, the background in that took me into the showgirl world. So I was a Parisian showgirl for years. I was what you call a bluebell girl on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Unfortunately, the Lido now has closed, but it's similar to the Moulin Rouge. So it's all the very big, very tall girls. It's all very glamorous, very beautiful. All your diamantes and your fishnet tights and everything. It was just, and I lived the life from the age of 19 to 27. So you were living
in Paris at this time, were you?
I lived in Paris. We travelled to Canada, India. I also did some work on ships, so I did cruise ship work. I've lived in so many different places, Milan, all up and down Italy, Portugal. So my career took me everywhere. But I suppose sort of from a dancer's point of view, from a notoriety point of view, being a bluebell girl at the Lido was the highlight of my career. And all of the girls that went there were all classically trained. But like most of us, knew we were going to be way too tall to be professional ballerinas, because we were.
Yeah. Isn't that funny, right? Because to me, that just sounds great. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you haven't made it to where you want to be you because of something that's beyond your control. Yeah. But most people will go and work in an office, and by the time they're 29, they're like, I'm sick of my job. And you've been off doing that instead.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic.
And so from that perspective, obviously you took, like you said, you were all classically trained kind of dancers, ballet and things before going into, because I mean, I haven't seen the film, but did you go and watch the, was it called The Last Showgirl, the recent one with Pamela Anderson? Yeah, was that good?
Oh my goodness, it pulled at my heartstrings a lot. And I think the thing that for me I didn't have, that this particular showgirl that she was playing did have, was she was 50, wasn't she? And she was still doing it. Now, I finished when I was 27, so I didn't get to that point where I was the oldest in the group. So our principal at the leader was 42. She was absolutely incredible. She was a great big tall American, body to die for. But because of I'll say my issues, what I struggled with mentally, with eating disorders, basically, I decided to leave it all at quite a young age for my mental health.
Okay, so that's interesting. So
Yeah.
can we talk about that a little bit? I mean, if you don't mind. I mean, just
Yeah.
because, like I say, a lot of people, I think, yeah, ballet, I suppose, has this, and I mentioned the film. I think, was it when we were recording? I think I mentioned the film Black Swan. You know, but it's got this typical traditionally ballet has this view, and I suppose it's like sort of supermodels and all that kind of thing. That it's quite it can be quite unhealthy, I suppose, and the kind of the pressures to maintain a certain weight and look a certain way, and you know, even though you're getting older and you're a woman, you know, but they're trying to keep, and I suppose gymnastics as well to an extent has this as well, where you're trying to really stay as small and as slight and as light and as lean as you possibly can. So yeah, when did you realize this was starting to become a problem?
So if you can imagine, at 16 years old when I left home, so I left home at 16 to move to the dance school I went to. I won't name it because I may say a few things about it that aren't particularly, don't put it in such a good light. So I won't name the college that I went to. Some people know. Even in the audition process, you were weighed. And some of the girls that were auditioning, that I was auditioning with then, had been told the year previous, come back, darling, when you've lost some weight. So from that, I never really, it never entered my brain as a 16-year-old that I would ever be worried about my weight, because I was always very thin. I didn't have anything to worry about. I've never had what you would call a weight problem. Yeah, when we got to the dance school, we were weighed termly. If we put on weight, we knew about it. We got told. I remember the principal sitting all the first years down in the first week we were there, and she's looking around everybody. She was a bit bonkers, saying to us, there will be no donuts. There will be no McDonald's, because, of course, there's a McDonald's in Epsom. So she could see the people that were in there. And she used to watch. She used to go in. She said, I can see the fat in your eyes. So from that point forward, and also along with the fact that you're training in front of mirrors 24/7, as I had been before in Bristol, at Bristol School of Dancing, the pressure started really early for me, and I was still maturing at that age. I'd only just really properly started menstruating at that point. You start to go out, you start to meet boys, you go on the pill, all these things as a woman, it just changes your body completely. So when I got to the end of the second year, oh darling, you're putting on a bit of weight, aren't you? You know, so it's that constant negative reinforcement of any kind of weight gain, which we're assured these days it's better. I know in some places it's not. I know that in most ballet schools it's worse, a lot worse. There was a documentary that they did about Elmhurst School, which is a huge ballet school in London, and unfortunately one young lad had committed suicide because he couldn't please them, and he couldn't cope with the way that you had to be physically for that role. So that's where it all started for me.
Mm.
Fortunately, from the age of 16, and I remember going to the doctors, and they stuck me on Prozac when I was 17, and I've fought with it ever since. I fight with it now.
Mm.
But my love of strength training and what it's given me is 100% more than just being strong and being able to hold a kettlebell above my head. It's almost hasn't got rid of my eating disorder, but I want to be strong now.
Mm.
It's that whole thing, isn't it? Strong, not skinny. Where for years women have had it battered over their heads. No, you can't lift weights because you'll be like, poof. We know that's not going to happen because it takes a lot of hard work to get like that.
Mm.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to ask how different do you look now than you would have done then? Is there much difference? Like, could you tell by looking at you?
I've had periods of my life where I've been very, very ill. So I got sent home from Paris once. The ironic thing was when I stopped dancing professionally at the age of 27, I assumed that leaving the industry would solve all my problems. Of course it didn't, did it? You know, you can't run away from who you are and what you've been through. And I had quite a severe relapse when I was 30 that landed me in the eating disorder unit in Bristol. I had a little girl by then who was 2.5 at the time. She might not even have been that. She might be 1.5. And they told me that in North Somerset, it's frowned upon to let people starve themselves to death. So I was threatened with a feeding tube, or you sort yourself out, or we'll take you in. So luckily, I've got a great support network around me. My friends are incredible. My mum and dad, what I've put them through over the years, I don't know how they're still standing. I really don't. I managed to claw myself back from the brink, which was probably my lowest point, to where I am now. And I haven't had a relapse since then. So that was when I was 33 it was, and I'm 45 now.
So did you, when you went to Paris, and you know, like I said, you're a showgirl, professional dancer, but everyone there was classically trained, but you know, taller and all the rest of it. Was there still the same kind of pressure then, or was it a bit more because it was more entertainment, if you like? Was there the same level of pressure within the organization and within the group, within all the other women and dancers? Was it the same, or was it slightly better there?
No, it wasn't better, because if you think years ago, so when I was, you're talking 25 years ago now, if you think back to what the image of beauty was all those years ago, it was like you touched on, the models, wasn't it? The waif-like model look. Now the showgirls were another version of that. So it's all very French, very Parisian. Everyone has to be very, very slim. And if you get a big group of women together as well, you can imagine what everyone's fighting for the same roles. Everyone wants that principal role. So what do? You try and make yourself smaller, which is something now that seems so alien to me when I'm trying to make myself bigger, not bigger, but stronger. And again, if you put on weight, when I did my audition for the Lido, the maitre de ballet at the time, he looked at me, he said, well, you're beautiful, darling, but you do have a college figure. So I was probably a bit hippie. I was 18, 19 when I auditioned. He said, so you're going to have to lose some weight before we take you on. So that was right at the beginning of my professional career as well. But if you looked at me as a normal person, I was very slim. So that, again, that negative reinforcement of body image has just been something that's been the dialogue for my life.
So do you think then that that all went to giving you like some kind of body dysmorphia or something? Because like you said, if someone if you walk down the high street or someone just saw you, you would look very, very slim. But because it was hypercritical all the time, and people talking to you and constantly telling you, you need to lose weight, you need to get slimmer, and then that whole dynamic of being around all these other dancers and things. Is that, I mean, like you say, it's something that you still live with now, yeah?
Yeah, it's something that will never go away.
Mm.
It's absolutely body dysmorphia. I don't see what other people see at all, even now. But through years of learning about myself, years of therapy, not all of it being very helpful, some of it being helpful, but coming to terms with the fact that what my brain perceives isn't real. And I'm very aware now of if I'm sliding. I know exactly what my eating disorder is trying to do, because basically it's trying to kill you. Without being dramatic, that's what it's trying to do. And I can still get myself into these holes where I will just eat certain things and I will not deviate from that whatsoever. So that element of control around my food and my eating is still very much there. And something that has scared me to death over the years, because my little girl will turn 13 in a couple of months. And for her to watch what I've been through and still go through, I didn't want any of that to rub off on her. Luckily, I mean, she's absolutely beautiful. She's got a fantastic relationship with food. She doesn't dance. She does a little bit for fun, but she's not She's not going to be a dancer, thank the Lord. That. Yeah, so she'll be okay.
But you still teach. Sorry, go on, Pete.
I was going to say, I'm just thinking back to that because you're talking around about the year 2000, aren't you? This is when like size 0 was a thing, wasn't it? Nicole, it was like Nicole Richie and all those sort. I remember it because
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, I've been in a relationship with someone in the past who was bulimic.
Oh.
And it's funny because yours is kind of quite extreme with like a school and like you need to lose this and you need to look this way and all that. This was more subliminal of people saying to this person, like either, oh, you're looking great, have you lost weight, right? Which people back in the day that used to be a compliment. Oh, have you lost weight?
Yeah.
Right. Or they'd say nothing, and then she would be like, oh, I must be getting fat. I need to lose weight. So there was no winning. And this was someone who went to an all-girls school. It wasn't the extreme thing of being a dancer or anything like that, but it was the influence of the circle of friends. There was no social media or whatever at the time. It was just like an influence of the circle of friends. And it was really scary to watch because, I mean, I was a little bit more immature at the time, but it was trying not to say the wrong things and trying to say the right things, and you can never win. Because in the person's head, it's like whatever you say, they will twist it and say, this is what I look like, this is what you're trying to say. And it was really difficult. So how, I mean, I don't know what the question is there. I think I'm just trying to say, I don't understand, but I've been in that world and it's really hard. It's really scary.
And you can't say anything. You're absolutely right. Whatever. So, my relationships that I've had, my parents have learned now not to say a thing.
Yeah.
So they don't say anything, because if someone, and the worst thing for someone to say to me is, oh, you look well. What? I put on weight?
Yeah. Well, full. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It makes no sense. And in my logical brain, I know this. But there's this little devil on my shoulder that will not stop.
It's funny because for me now, I mean, if someone said that to me, I'd just say thank you.
Yeah.
But there can be the thing of, what do I not normally look well? Then just today I did, like, there's all these things that your brain can do and go, why are they saying that? And it's like they're just paying you a compliment.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? But yeah, it's interesting because, like you say, with your parents, if they've learned to say nothing,
sometimes
that can feel like you're not caring as well. as the person not saying anything, it's like, should I ask? Should I not? It's interesting, isn't
So
it?
you feel like when you're on the other side of it, sort of, you know, some of my past relationships, they're walking on eggshells the whole time. So I know that I've not been easy to be around for a lot of years. The on the flip side of that, well, another thing that I used, unfortunately, to help me, and I know probably you know that I've been 5 years. I'm 5 years sober now.
I've seen you post. Yeah, I've seen some posts and things. Yeah, and I know that's quite a thing at the moment, isn't it? You know, this kind of it's kind of sobriety and you know, count, you know, 1 year no beer and all the, you know, and then counting things. But I did see a post recently. Yeah.
So what I used to do, unfortunately, was bounce back and forward between anorexia and alcoholism. So if I wasn't doing one, I was doing the other. If I was drinking, it would stop all those voices in my head. It would stop all of those negative thoughts, and I'd be able to live some kind of a normal life. Which when I stopped dancing professionally, if I was, you know, because alcohol just, my face used to be out here, bloated me completely. But then that took off into something else because I was using it as a crutch. I was self-medicating. Then any of the antidepressants I was taking weren't working. So I did this yo-yo for years of, okay, so if I stop drinking, I'm also going to stop eating. So if I want to eat, I need to drink to make sure that, do you see what I mean? It really was a balancing act. And the best thing I ever did for myself and my mental health was quitting drinking.
Well, yeah.
No brainer.
Yeah. And do you feel that, have you managed, because I know you still teach like adult ballet and things, don't you? So have you managed to find some kind of balance, I suppose, or some kind of relationship with ballet now that is more healthy, that is more about enjoyment of ballet and enjoyment of dancing without all of the kind of the pressure and all the rubbish that came with it?
Yeah, 100%. I think when I first came back from my professional career, I wanted nothing to do with dancing ever again. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to be near it because I thought that packing that away in a little box would, like I said, solve all of my problems. I'd be fine. Didn't happen that way. Within 6 months, I picked up a teaching job for a dance school with children. I slowly started getting into teaching adults, the adult ballet. And I've kept that going. And it's only recently, literally three weeks ago, I did my last class with my little ones who are only 4. Because now that the side of my business is taking off with the strength work, with the kettlebells, the new gym that's opened in the area that I'm now working for, I can't do everything. But teaching the adults ballet and seeing the pleasure that they get from just being able to move and enjoy that movement. And it's a huge responsibility to teach kids and teach them the right way and not prod and poke them and say, well, this isn't right and that's not right. But to encourage them to be the best they can be, because we've had girls through the dance school who are now on the West End. They've done ever so well. So I've had to change my narrative around the ballet completely, and I do. I love my adult ballet classes now. It's just it's a beautiful hour of my week. I really enjoy it.
So you mentioned there the kind of the leaning now towards strength and that's getting busier for you. And I did see, actually, I can't remember, what's the name of the gym that you're at now? The
Quarry.
The Quarry, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you, so if I'm doing my maths correctly, it was about 18 years ago that you stopped being a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And when did kind of like you say, you came away from that and you thought, I don't want anything to do with dancing, never want to do that again. I'm going to pack that away. How long did it take for you to kind of find a different outlet for exercise or training, or how did that come about?
I kept up with the gym when I came back. So, you know, I did your usual David Lloyd membership, pounding on the treadmill, on the machines, things like that. So I always kept myself fit, whether I was drinking or whether I wasn't drinking. I always used to be able to go out and run, not very effectively towards the end of my drinking career. So I've always had my foot in, quite literally, into the fitness side of things. But it was only in my sobriety. So before the country locked down in March 2020, 3 days before that, I decided that I was done with alcohol. So as the country went into lockdown, I'd stopped.
That's when most people started to drink more.
Done things the way that everybody else has done. I've always done it differently. But for me, it really worked. And my parents, bless them, used to come outside and sit outside the house in their car, keep an eye on my daughter, because I was on my own, so that I could go and run. Kept me sane for a little while. And then things started opening up again, ever so slightly. And then I hear this name, Helen Hall. Right? Hell's bells, Helen Hall. And I'd had a couple of kettlebells in the garage. And like most people in lockdown, they started doing, you know, into their fitness, stuff like that. So I thought, okay, I quite like this. You know, I've always done my running, battered myself with cardio, as again was something very fashionable years ago. Picked up a couple of kettlebells, found an app, and started swinging these things about, not knowing what the hell I was doing. When things had opened up enough, I went to see Helen, who most of us know, all of us love that know her.
Yeah, Helen is a friend of the show. Yeah, she's been on twice, hasn't she, Pete? I think, yeah, Helen's been on twice. Yeah.
And she introduced me to Strongfirst. She is my coach. She's still my coach.
She's Bristol. Is she near you? She's near you as well, is she, Bristol?
In the village, sort of 2 villages down from me. Yeah, so we live about 15 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
So I started with her club. I think with something ridiculous, within 2 months, I cottoned on to the SFG one. I thought, oh, this looks like a good idea. Helen was on holiday at the time, so I'm texting away going, I think I'm going to put myself down for the SFG one. She went, what? So, I mean, as luck would have or wouldn't have it, I don't know. I was signed up for the SFG one that October, so with only a couple of months of training under my belt, and I got COVID, so I couldn't go. So I then had to wait another year, which in hindsight was great because I got to be, you were there on my SFG one, you were assisting. Yeah.
So you got that extra year to really just practice and get competent and just know what you were doing. Yeah, excellent.
Which made a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, without it sounding dramatic, the strength training has changed my life completely. It sent me off in a direction that I never thought I'd go in. I get to meet women. I get to help them. There's so many women that come to me that are in their 40s, that are perimenopausal, that don't know what to do anymore. And to be able to do that alongside still keeping my hand with the dancing is, it gives a lot back to me. So for selfish reasons, obviously, I really love it.
And you've done, you know, like we said, you're Strongfirst Elites. You've done all of the certifications. You've kind of gone then into barbell work and body weight work and things, and you've done all of that. Did that just kind of naturally, you know, one thing led to another? You did the SFG, and then you thought, well, what's the next thing for me? And you kind of went on to that. Yeah.
I think what this has also taught me is that having a goal, having something to work towards is really useful for my brain. So at the moment it's Sinister, you know, again, which I
Can we just clarify there? Your brain's not sinister.
no, my brain's not Sinister.
For the people listening, Sinister is a challenge within the Strongfirst community. You haven't got a sinister brain. We're just clarifying that for the listeners.
I might also have a little bit of a Sinister brain. But yeah, so I managed to do the elite in under 2 years. So it was hard work.
Do you think having that that two things, probably the professional really the mindset and the focus and the discipline of a professional athlete, really, from what you were doing in your dancing, and then also maybe the physicality and the body awareness and the poise and the control and all of that? Do you think really, although you'd kind of left your professional dancing behind you and kind of, it wasn't a great, in hindsight, it wasn't a great time. Do you think that actually the things that you kind of learned and took from that really helped you to kind of take to the strength training more quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way your coach, the way it's all set out, it's all very disciplined. There is a right way, there is a wrong way. As you said, with knowing my body so well, everything came, I'm not going to say easily because that's the wrong word. It wasn't easy at all. But the discipline that comes with the years of dance training and having that grit behind me and not wanting to give up, possibly pushing a little bit too hard and overtraining, I've been told by certain people, stood me in good stead for the whole thing. And I was strong before I went into it. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And in terms of you mentioned like you had some surgery and things like that recently, and I know you've been out from you know, like you say, for training. You haven't been in the marine pool and that sort of thing. So can you explain to us what happened? Because I know you've been unwell. Don't really kind of know all the details, but I know you've been unwell. But maybe tell us a little bit about that, and then how you've been starting to come back from that, because I think that that's also important for people who, you know, may have injuries and setbacks and illnesses and things, and then need to rebuild after that. So if you can share that with us, if that's okay.
Yeah. So October, the beginning of October the 2nd, it would have been. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, bit of a pain in my stomach, thinking, oh, it's a bit strange. Sort of moved around a bit, didn't go away. Within an hour, I was writhing on the bathroom floor in more pain than I've ever been in my life. And I've been through childbirth. It was worse. Just the most horrendous pain. The ambulance came eventually. There was a bit of a wait, but they got me. They brought me straight in. Gave me a CT scan, and you kind of start querying, kind of think, appendicitis? Is it an appendicitis? Is it something I've done? Because I was doing TGUs for the first time the week before with a 32-kilogram kettlebell. Now,
that's Turkish get-ups, by the way, for people listening. Yeah.
And people were saying to me, "Oh, it's that that's done it. It's that." Like, well, what? So anyway, they scanned me, came back, and my colon had twisted on itself. Now, unbeknownst to me, I was born without my colon, the end where the cecum is, being attached properly to the membrane where it should have been. So from birth, my colon has been flapping around. And yeah, I know.
Sorry. Sorry, I've got a flappy coat. Yeah, but anyway. Sorry. Carry on. You laughed first.
So it was nothing that I'd done. It wasn't the fact that the consultant said to me, it's not your diet. It's not the fact that you were a heavy drinker. It's not your Turkish get-ups. It's not the weight training. He said, it's nothing you have done. This is just something that happens to a very, very small amount of people. And it just decided that on that Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the morning, it was going to go. So they took away half of my colon. And I'm thinking, oh, it'll be keyhole surgery, keyhole, be fine. No. So they cut from here to here, through my belly button. And I'd had a cesarean before when I had my daughter. So obviously the muscles are separating again. And I knew how difficult that was to come back from. And yet it didn't faze me. I know that a few of my friends thought that I might fall to pieces because my training is so important for my mental health. What the hell is she going to do if she can't train?
They might have thought you might go back to alcohol or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back to the alcohol, back to the eating disorder. What is she going to do? How is she going to cope? But to be honest, I was so grateful to be alive and not in pain. Because it could have gone horribly wrong. If it had been left too long, I could have got sepsis. It could have ended very, very badly. So I was extremely grateful. Absolutely nothing at all for 6 weeks. And then I was allowed to walk. So of course, then me being me, I walked 4 miles and I walked for hours. And my dad's going, no, not another thing. It's all right, Dad, it's okay. And I picked up a kettlebell for the first time. It was like my Christmas present to myself a couple of days after Christmas, because that was the 12 weeks in. Absolutely no weight training whatsoever for 12 weeks. And it's been great. The return to strength, little by little, without even noticing that it's going up again. Within 3 months, I would say I'm 90% back to where I was. And it's been it's a bit emotional. No, it's just been I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful that I was strong before, because I don't think if I was as strong as I have been before that I would have come back quite as quickly. And that's why one of my friends said to me, she works in old people's homes, and she was talking to a lovely lady who was 90 years old, and she said, she grabbed hold of me and she said, I thought about you, Elise. I was like, oh, thanks. So no, not like that. So this lady had said to her, my one regret in life is that I stopped moving, because now I can't walk across the room. So I think that, coming from somebody that age as well, it is so important that we keep moving, we remain strong, because I know as soon as we sit down and do nothing, it's game over. So
yeah, we had a guy on a few weeks back called Mike Tinsky from America, who's 78, and he's like a state record holding kind of powerlifter. He still does powerlifting at 78, and he started training, I think, at like 60, didn't he, Pete? Or because he had prostate cancer at 58, and he got over that, and then he sort of said, well, I need to get myself strong for whatever life's going to throw at me, you know. And he went into his strength training, and since then he's had 2 knee replacements, which he's rehabbed himself through. He's had a heart attack, which he's rehabbed himself through, and he's 78 and he's still like lifting weights, and he's strong. And it's so important, isn't it? And I think that, like you say, I mean, you're only 45 now, but if you, like you say, I think it was Brett Jones as well, wasn't it, when we had Brett on, who had like a throat cancer. And he was talking about, you have to, have this, what was the phrase he used? Like a surplus of strength really there, that you can, because if you're bedridden like he was or you were, for 6 weeks, for 12 weeks, you've got to have something there that's going to get you through, and that you're going to be able to come out the other side. Muscle tissue and whatever else.
The muscle tissue was just crazy, how quickly it went. And don't get me wrong, there were some days I was like, this is going to be, I felt like there was another mountain in front of me, and I was sat right down the bottom going, oh my God. But as soon as I started, the muscle memory and my body just remembered. And it was awesome. It's extremely humbling to know what your body can actually do.
So do you think now then that you're, you are now sort of strength training for life, if you like? That's who you are now, is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I will be encouraging dancers to be doing the same. And I've got ex-dancers, I've got dance teachers, people who I've been talking to who are, again, still trying to batter themselves with cardio. Oh, I'm in pain all the time, I'm in pain all the time. Well, yes, you are, because one, you're overtraining, and two, you're not strength training. That's why you're getting injured. There's, I don't know if you've heard of probably not, the principal of the Royal Ballet, a guy called Stephen McRae. Now, he's 39. He's still the male principal of the Royal Ballet. He ruptured his Achilles tendon on stage. This happened in 2019. When this happened, he wasn't fueling his body correctly and he wasn't doing his strength training. And he puts his hands up to that because still in the ballet world, even the men, they want them to be very slim. The muscular physique isn't really a thing. It's changing, but very slowly. So for his rehab, once he started strength training, and he was back on stage within 18 months. Wow. So, and this is a principal dancer. Another couple of years, his ACL went. So he's had to do the same thing all over again. But once again, this year he started back and he's doing Romeo and Juliet again. And he's 39. And that's old for a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Suppose that, that's my chances gone, isn't it? What's the difference? This isn't this is a ballet question.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot, and we love it. It comes to Bristol every year, actually, doesn't it? The Matthew Bourne stuff.
Oh yeah.
What's the difference? Because that's not like actual, like proper. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about here, but it's not classical ballet, is it? It's more kind of contemporary.
Yeah.
But because you're talking about the guys in that are ripped. I've seen them with their tops off. They're ripped.
Yeah. Is it Swan Lake you've seen?
I've seen them all. I've seen loads of them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you'll find that now when you look at, even if you're looking at commercial videos, it's not top of the pops these days, is it? But God, show my age. Again, the dancers are strong these days, because when I was auditioning for companies and for shows, you weren't expected to do as much as the dancers are now. So you were considered a triple threat if you could sing and dance and act. But nowadays, they have to do all of that. They have to be able to do 10 pirouettes instead of 3. They have to be an acrobat. They have to be flipping and doing goodness knows what else as well. Me and my friends who are the dance teachers nowadays look at the kids that are on stage and go, no way in the world we could have done that. And we were all professional dancers years and years ago, but it has changed. So these dancers are stronger. Their diets are better. They look after themselves better. And I just think that can only be a good thing, because hopefully it puts to bed that version of the teeny tiny skinny ballerinas you see on stage.
It's funny because what I think about that, like, let's say as a ballerina, as a lady, they want you to be as slight and small and light as possible. Presumably, because that helps with the guys, because they have to pick you up and throw you around and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But if they get stronger and you're not say heavier because you've got more dense bones and stuff like that because of how you eat and all that, everybody wins anyway. Yeah.
Precisely. And that's what Stephen McRae's saying, and a lot of the American ballet theatres, they started this years ago. So whereas you get the Royal Ballet and the English National Ballet, it's all very, very old-fashioned British. They all look the same. If you go to America, they're all different heights, different colours, different sizes. The likes of Misty Copeland, if anyone follows ballet, who is just the most beautiful dancer, but she is strong. She's African American, principal dancer, which didn't happen for an extremely long time. So things are steadily changing, but I'm afraid I think our old-fashioned ways in Great Britain, we're not there yet when it comes to classical ballet. Not like the Americans are, that seem to be pushing it a little bit more.
I know I've not been to ballet and things, but I know just the way you're describing things. I've been to watch like things like Cirque du Soleil, and there's a lot of that. That's obviously kind of gymnastics, acrobatics, kind of dance and stuff as well, isn't it? It's kind of an amalgamation of lots of stuff, but certainly the men and the women in that obviously are incredibly kind of athletic and muscular and strong and everything. I think that a lot of those kind of come from more of like an Eastern European background, don't they? Kind of like Russia and Poland and things like that. But yeah. Wow.
I think the only experience of actual proper classical ballet I've got is when I was, how old would I be? 1991 or something like that. I did Russian GCSE. We went to Newcastle. I'm in the middle of Newcastle, and we're doing Russian GCSE in a comprehensive school in Newcastle. But anyway, but we got a trip to Moscow and Leningrad, as it was at the time, and we went to the ballet. Like a bunch of kids went to the ballet, and I fell asleep. I was like 15 or something. I was like, what the hell is this? It was probably like the most cultural experience I'll ever have, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It would be like putting me in front of a football match. I just no interest whatsoever.
So Elise, what's next for you? Like you say, you've already you're already a Strongfirst Elite. You're now, you say you're now 90% now back to kind of health, strength, fitness, following your kind of operation and things back in October. You're now working at the Quarry in Bristol, the Quarry gym, and they say you're a lot busier now teaching strength related activities, and you just do your adult ballet. So yeah, what's your kind of, I suppose, immediate kind of path or goals look like for the next kind of, for this year, for 2025?
Keep doing what I'm doing, really. I've still got, my little girl's nearly 13. I always said that because as well as the strength training and the dancing, I'm also I work with children with SEND, with special educational needs, at our local comprehensive school, which I've also done for a long time. I'm there 3 days a week, and the dream is to lower the hours I do there and up everything else. And I said that I kind of had a 5-year plan. So when Eva had done her GCSEs, because we're both at the same school, hopefully I would have moved away enough to be able to solely concentrate on my strength training as a business. But I do have to be careful as a single mum that I rely on my wage and my wage only, that I'm careful with what I do. So I can't just drop everything and go, yes, I'm going to be a strength coach, and not be able to pay my bills if it doesn't work for 6 months. I just need to be a bit careful. Yeah. So little bit by little bit. And the fact that this beautiful gym has opened in our area is great, and it's perfect. So it will give me a bit of a balance between doing my own stuff and also having that security of working for somebody else, which I still need at the moment.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's so much now. I talked to Alex Nicole Bennett, who don't you? You know Alex, yeah. So you'll obviously see her. I know she's doing the dumbbell day in so she'll be there for that. But she's doing her like level 2, level 3 gym instructor stuff. She's obviously done the Strongfirst stuff as well. But so many people now are kind of but I think because of the way that, you know, social media influencers and things, they think that they can just get a qualification and just go 100% self-employed and suddenly they're going to be uber successful, you know. And I think what you're doing is very, very sensible, and it's what I did for 10 years, you know, before starting my own business. So I think you need to you need to gain experience, learn your craft, you know, all that kind of stuff, don't you? And within that framework of security, and down the line, if you want to do something a bit more independent, you can. But so what are you doing there at the quarry? Are you teaching group classes? Are you doing personal training? What are you doing there?
Classes which have a waiting list already.
Wow. Okay.
They're quite small, the classes. It's eight people. So, which for me is I really like, because it means I can have eyes on everyone. Whereas I think having a huge group is fine if they were mine, like Helen does, and she does proper inductions and she makes sure everyone knows what they're doing before they even come to the club. That would be great. But because I'm not knowing really who I'm getting walking through the door, I might have some people who have done kettlebells for years and some people who don't know anything. So I've got to find that balance, and with 8 people, that's quite doable. But I wouldn't want any more than that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah,
it's the group classes, and I really enjoy it. It's great. Really like it.
So how many of those are you teaching a week at the moment?
3 at the moment.
3, yeah.
I'm off to Paphos on Sunday because I booked a holiday before I even knew I was going to be working at the gym. And then I've said when I come back, we'll push it and see that there's a lot of scope for it, and there's nobody in my village where I am that does it. So I think it's going to be popular. We hope.
Excellent. Excellent. And you're teaching the kind of the Strongfirst methodologies and everything there, and hard style. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, hard style. Yeah. I come in and I get people trying to swing bells up. I say, no, we're not doing that. No. Back in, calm down.
Excellent. Oh, that's been so nice. I mean, again, like as I said before, we've spoke before a number of times, but never to this obviously depth or level. And it's so interesting. Yeah, just really interesting hearing about your experience of, like you say, the ballet, the dancing, your eating disorders, alcohol. Well done on obviously the 5 years of sobriety as well, which is so it just sounds like everything's going really well for you at the moment, and I look forward to spending 3 days with you later this month. Yeah, which will be great. Yeah, thank you so much. If people want to follow you, because I was showing some people, pictures of you and little videos, and I said we were going to have you on the podcast today. What's the best way for people to kind of do it? Are you most active on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, or where do you put stuff?
Instagram mostly, Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. And so, as I said, on Facebook, you are Elise Laura Ball.
Yeah.
And obviously, I do follow you on Instagram, but I just can't remember what your handle is on there.
I think is it just Elise.Ball?
I am just going to look now. Yeah, Elise ELISE.Ball. Yeah, on there. That's perfect. Brilliant. Okay. So yeah, Instagram or Facebook, but yeah, follow Elise. You'll see some great stuff. Some I'd say kind of hard style kettlebell done with elegance is what I would say. Is fantastic. I was showing someone, because I don't know if you know Sue Bell, who's a member of my gym, but she's doing the SFB, and she's getting her pistol squats. But I think I showed her your pointy toe pistol squats and everything. Which look.
That was it was funny when I came to do the SFB at your gym, and we had John Engham there.
Yeah.
And the whole weekend was good toes, naughty toes.
Yeah.
My feet pointed the whole time, and it was a thing by the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
So it's all about the pointy toes.
Didn't you show Helen that or something? Because they do like some people like to push the heel forwards.
Yeah.
Helen was struggling with that, and she said she pointed her toes. Was it you who showed her that?
Yes, my spine. Yeah. Pointy toes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes more weight that way, doesn't it? It kind of even shifts your center of balance a little bit because you point your toes that way. It takes more. Well, you can try that, Pete. Try your pointy toes.
No.
No. Okay. Brilliant. No, that was great, Elise. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's only going to be a few weeks then till I see you. So that's great. Thank you so much. So thank you everybody for watching, listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so, especially Apple Podcasts. We will be back next week for episode 245. I think we are with Terry Hollands next week, who is
right. Did you see the way James? What's the name of the guy we've got on next week again? He was.
No, I was trying to think if there was anyone in between.
You were playing it cool, is what you were doing, mate.
It's the most different. It's the most different person to Elise you can get. He's like 10 times world's strongest man competitor from Dartford in Kent, you know, 6'6", 20 odd stone, you know, like
6'6" and 100 tons.
Yeah, so Terry will be on with us next week. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Really, really lovely. This is, what did I say, 244. Yeah, cracking on towards our 5th anniversary episode, which will be 260. But yeah, enjoy the sunshine wherever you are, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.